So we're going live on YouTube right now. You're on Take
Snap.
TV, and it's Taco Tuesday.
Yes.
So first, thanks for coming. I love your gear. Detroit Pistons you're repping. Just tell us a little bit about, as an artist going viral, not a lot of people necessarily know about what it was like for you growing up in the city. You got started a long time ago. Tell us when you got started and how you rep in Detroit.
So I started through my cousin J Squared. Shout out to J Squared. When I was about first off, to take it back, when I was in 5th grade, he was the first person that I knew that was a rapper that wasn't famous. And I was like, oh, you don't have to be famous to rap. And so that kind of jump-started my writing raps more and more. When I was younger, I would want to do that, but I was always I don't have the voice for it. And then I kind of gave up on that and just kind of kept on writing poetry. And then turned to 10th grade. That's when I really started taking myself seriously. I think the biggest motivation was I heard a really bad song on the radio, and I was like, I can do that. And so I kind of just started recording myself on a garage band situation, and through that did a lot of open mics, and that was my big introduction into getting into music in the city. So shout out to the Phoenix Cafe. It's not open anymore, but the Phoenix Cafe was the first place that I performed at. From then, a lot of the culture creators did a lot of events. Shout out to them. And just a lot of just grinding through that. I did a lot of the SoundCloud grind. When the SoundCloud era was going crazy, a lot of lo-fi tapes and, just putting out mixtapes after every year. I think every year I've put out a project, if not an EP, So I kind of just been big music fan, hip hop head. I'm talking about before I was able to speak, I was learning rap lyrics, trying to rhyme words all the time. So that was it's just my love for hip hop in general. Long answer, but I'm such a big hip hop and music fan that I just I had to get into it. If I wasn't rapping, I would probably be a radio personality or something, So.
Wow. So you've been writing your whole life basically. You either been reciting lyrics, writing poetry.
Yeah.
You've been rapping.
Yeah.
You hung out in all the ciphers, going to the cafes.
Yeah.
What's something about that hustle? Because it feels like there would be a lot of competition there. Because you're both you could collaborate, but you're also competing.
Yeah.
What's that tension like when you're kind of coming up in the scene?
You know what? That's a good question. I feel like the competition is needed because rap is a competitive sport. And it's something where it's it could make or break you, you know what I'm saying? You could use it as a very evil spirit, you know what I'm saying, where you're just mad at the world the whole time, yo, I need to be, everybody's my enemy. Or you could, like you said, be a collaborative spirit and be open to, oh, this person has he's better with his rhyme schemes, or this person is better with, his similes and metaphors. These are things where you can learn, you know what I'm saying? I'm still to this day learning as a person who has been, I'm 7 years deep, but 5 years professional with it. I'm still I'll hear a Kendrick Lamar song and I'll be damn, I have to take a step back and be wow, I need to elevate, So for me, when I was coming up, being 15, I would be learning every time when I meet somebody that might be a little bit elevated than me, and I'd be how can I get to that level? And it's sometimes where it's maybe I have to ask that person, or I just gotta go back to the drawing board, you know what I'm saying? So that's how I used it. I was always using it as motivation. Being motivated is the key thing in a lot of this,
Dude, yeah. Motivation, you talk about that, you talk about both the getting motivated and also dealing with stress.
Yeah.
And maybe motivation is a part of that equation.
Yeah.
what are some of the things that you've done to like, how have you dealt with the stress of like blowing up? Because you've been doing this a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what are the things that bring you joy, now versus the things that brought you joy maybe before you started to explode?
You know what? That's such a beautiful question, because like I dropped a project called The Joy Tape, and it was like all kind of reflecting on the whole come up and what I had to deal with. And because it was called The Joy Tape, I had all the emotions in it. I had stress, I had anger, all these things you have to deal with, you have to go through in order to get to that. But like the main focal point is like why I did it, the why, you know? Why am I making music? And, you know, am I creating for myself or am I creating for others? And once you like get past the like worried about numbers all the time or worried about what people think all the time, like you kind of come back to a more peaceful place with it. So for me, whenever I do feel like I'm losing myself in like some type of stress, or, you know, I'm overthinking or having imposter syndrome, I like go back to the why, you know? Like, why am I creating in the first place? And I kind of like go back to that kid that was in the basement at my mom's crib just making music for the hell of it, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's pretty much what like brings me back, you know? And every once in a while I have my methods, you know? I might just like go skate around or listen to music, or, you know, I don't know, like it's just...
Yes, you do.
you know, smokes, I don't know, yeah. But yeah, like it's all like every day is like there's different methods, and like, you know, sometimes it's meditating, and, you know, but truly what brings me back is like my passion for music, you know, because it's not fun if you're gonna just, I'm gonna make this for, I need to do this for this magazine or this blog, or, you know, it gets so tiring after a while. It's like more than a hobby, you know? So, yeah.
That's hard to do though in an era where you can measure everything instantly.
Yeah, yeah.
And so what have you seen, how have you navigated that? Because you did mention you kind of you've been able to break away and kind of recenter yourself. How have you seen that, even not just with you, but maybe even other people that surround you? What advice have they given you? Because just like your rap, it's almost like a puzzle. It sounds like you take bits and pieces.
Yeah.
You're very eclectic in that way.
Yeah.
What have you taken from the business side of it? Because you want to, on one hand, you want to get these views, but on the other hand, you want to be an artist. So how do you balance the two?
Well, I think it's like a reminder that like eventually it's gonna come to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I had a very viral moment, but I had a lot of working I had to do in order to get to that. And then in that viral moment, I had to like work with that and be prepared, you know what I'm saying? If I wasn't prepared in that moment, then I probably wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't have managed to like keep that, or like, you know what to do with it, you know? So I think it's just that reminder that like it's gonna come eventually, and then also like know what to do when you get that, you know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, it's like you see every day there's something new that's like popping up on the scene, or something that's gonna be like the new trend and all that stuff like that. So it's kind of just like keep on working, because, you know, you never know what's gonna happen, you know what I'm saying? If you make a song about Doritos, then, you know, the next moment, like, you might have some sponsorship or something. Like, it's something where it's just like you gotta keep on grinding, and I think that's like having the level head of, you know, how to maintain, but also having those people around you, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like that's really what matters. You know, they're like your loved ones that's like looking out for you at all times, or, you know, that's the real genuine relationships. If you just gonna do it for like a like on Instagram, then it's gonna get like very empty, you know? So yeah, that's what I would say. Just maintaining that balance, you know?
Right.
Yeah. And doing the work.
And you got to do the work and be consistent and
Yes.
stay grounded in yourself and your network. One of the things so when the In the House board
Yes.
blew up, you mentioned sponsorships. So you
Yes.
probably got a lot of attention from brands, whether it's like consumer products, but also from music labels and other artists.
Yes.
Can you just walk us through, like, as an independent artist, what other independent artists might have to look for, even when maybe even without a viral hit, you'll still get that. How do you navigate what kind of offers to look at? What do those look like, and how do you know what's good and what's not?
Well, I say, like, for one, you got to know what you want. You know, if you're an artist and you want to be on a major label or whatever, you want to be, you know, on like a mega status, then, you know, that might be what you want. But at the same time, you got to know your business. You know, you got to know what you're negotiating, because everything is a negotiation, and you can't let people tell you what number is like your worth, you know? So like, I'm independent, but I'm not too closed off to like a deal, but it has to be right. You know, the number has to be right, the agreements and percentages have to be right, and you know, it has to be something where like I still have my ownership. But some business ventures aren't like that. Some people just want all your name, they want everything that you own. Like Anita Baker just got some of her masters. I don't know if she got all her masters. Hope it's all of her masters, but like Anita Baker is Anita Baker, and she had to go through this fight. So I think it's just like, had she been in a different era maybe, or like had people that was looking out for her on the business side, she would have been in a whole different situation. So I would say to like any artist that's looking out for that, just like know your business for real, you know, and know your worth. Cause like a lot of people would just like give you something flat rate and be like, oh, this is what, you know what I'm saying? And also know that you're gonna have to pay that back if it is like a big advance, you know? Like if somebody gives you $1 million up front, just know where that $1 million is coming from. Like it's not your $1 million right away, you know? You gotta pay that back and then you got the money. But yeah, that's what I tell people. I don't know.
So anytime somebody gives you some money, know that they're about to make more money than that.
Right. It's a
and
it's
you're
a whole
gonna be
game.
you're on the hook to make that money plus some.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So can you just tell us a little bit also, like, just how does it work working with a company like United Masters? Because a lot of people don't necessarily understand like what independent means and kind of how you work with other companies in that context.
Well, United Masters is a beautiful tool because, for one, shout out to Steve Stout, black man owning a whole distribution company. But it's just like any other distribution company, you know? Like when I first got on the streaming services, I was with DistroKid. That was cool, but like there was nothing personal. Like there was nothing personal as far as like, I didn't know anybody on the DistroKid side. You know, shout out to Symphonic. I did like a little EP with them, but like, you know, it was just one EP run. But like United Masters is just great because like I've built relationships with the company, you know what I'm saying? There's people that reached out and they were willing to help during the little viral moment when like me and my manager were scrambling, like where do we, and they were like, do you need a little hand? Like, do we need to look at contracts for you and stuff? And so it was like one of those things where it's just like, with any company, the relationships are like key, you know? So I would say like, whether it's United Masters or, you know, some people go to Empire, I don't know, but like, all it is like, that's just another way of distributing your music, you know, and getting it to a large audience. Some people also, they have opportunities with it, you know what I'm saying? Like some people are good with playlisting. This person is more good with like getting you on covers of magazines. It's all like different, you know? So, but for United Masters, they've been super great with like throwing opportunities my way and just looking out whenever they can, you know? And not wanting anything also, like for real.
So so it's like you have a group of people who got your back and act as a consultant, kind of showing you opportunities that you may not have seen on your own.
Yeah, yeah, it's
And,
blessing.
and I know that you worked with, you tell us a little bit about your collaboration with Tyga and how that came about.
It was cool. It was cool. I mean, all I could say is like that moment in time. I was very fortunate and blessed. You know, I'll say like that was a beautiful moment for me because as a person who's been making music for a long time, and in the time frame that it happened, it was like a blessing because everybody was kind of like hopeless feeling and scared, and like we didn't know what we were going through, and so it was like this rhythm that hit everybody at the same time, and like kids were participating, you know, grandmas, celebrities, everybody in the world was just like, oh, I can have fun at the crib, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, for me, I always look back on it and I'm just thankful, you know, like very blessed to even have that, you know? But yeah, man, shout out to Tyga as well, for sure.
And one of the things that, let me see. One of the things that we were talking about before you got here was actually just kind of like your whole aesthetic.
Yeah.
And it's very cool. Like you mentioned, you mentioned that people actually don't realize you're from Detroit sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what people might not understand about Detroit that maybe you're presenting to them in a fresh way?
Well, you know, Detroit is a city of many styles, you know what I'm saying? Like you can have a person like Babyface Ray, me, you know, and it's like we all kind of come from this beautiful, you have Jay Dilla, and then you have the Blade Icewood in the same eras, you know what I'm saying? So it's just a beautiful mixture of like, we have soulful Motown backgrounds, and then we have like the very BMF meets like very hood vibes, and you know, it's like, it's just like a mosaic of people that live here, you know. And shout out to Mosaic, that's an acting company here, by the way. But I mean, I feel like it's truly just like a melting pot of like different styles and black culture and culture in general, that like a lot of people come here and be so amazed by. Like, I mean, we just had the techno movement festival, and like people are coming from all over the world just to see this. This is something that was created by black kids in the city, and it's still thriving to this day, you know. And now we even seeing it with our hip hop culture. It's just booming, and the Pistons is about to go crazy. But yeah, like
Yeah, knock on wood.
but honestly, like I feel like the big appeal about it is like we've been thriving with our culture, and you know, it's not just one thing. And I think that's the misperception that we're just all the same type of person. No, and it's okay that we're not all the same, because you know, why would we all have the same sound? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think we need that in the world, for one. Like, that's why we have different genres in general. But yeah, like you got singers that are beautifully talented, opera singers, techno still. I mean, I just named so many different styles, but like, man, we are the future. Detroit is the future. So that's all I gotta say.
Well, it's interesting because some people might say the same thing about you. You're a beautiful tapestry and mosaic of styles and influences, and you have a broad vision for your creativity.
Yeah.
How would you describe kind of, you talked about your why. Talk to us just a little bit more about your why and the different mediums that you see your why expanding into, and how that might even influence other artists in the future.
Yo, you know what? I think it always taps back into hip hop. You know, hip hop was always like I feel like back in the day, a lot of people weren't expecting it to thrive to this level, but like, you know, you got hip hop started with like graffiti, DJ, break dancers, and then it was the MC, and then there was like all these other elements to it. And it's like, as humans, we have so many elements. And for me, it's like I always try and go beyond my elements, you know, and go beyond my limits and stuff. So it's like, if I want to make a very vibey song where it's just like a guitar playing, I'm gonna make that. If I want to make something where it's like a bunch of trap drums and stuff, I can make that. I don't think that anybody should limit themselves. And I think what I want to do with like my music is, I always want to remind people, if they're a fan of mine, to like make sure you're doing that for yourself as well. You know, like I always want to remind people it's okay to, you know, be creative. It's okay to be emotional and, you know, work through your emotions. And also, it's okay to frolic in the field at the same time, you know, be a fly nigga and you know what I'm saying? Like, no person is just one thing. And I mean, just like my favorite artists, like Kanye, Pharrell, and, you know, all these beautiful people that like shown that they go past their limits. I want to do that for somebody that's listening to Curtis Roach, you know? So yeah. That's how I don't know, yeah.
Now, I think you mentioned something about July, next month, July, something going on.
Oh yeah. July, be on the lookout. July 12th, I have a single coming out, Where the Money At. And it's something super different. Like, it's something that I've never made before. It's like, it's honestly like a summer hit. Probably like best song of the summer, but you know what I'm saying? I'm just tooting my horn at that point. But yeah, be on the lookout for that, for sure.
So get your Bluetooth speakers ready, because
Yes.
you know what you're going to be playing on at your barbecue.
Yes, yes, it's definitely a barbecue song.
And with that, Zach, is there anything we wanted to ask? I want to make sure I got, because you had a couple questions.
Kind of a musical nerd question.
Okay.
Musical nerd question.
Previous, I'm not going to be on a mic. I watched a couple previous interviews, and you mentioned, somebody asked you about, Sadie from Hip in Detroit, actually, years ago.
Yeah.
Asked you about influences. You mentioned Kanye, Tyler, Pharrell just now. Just talk about what you appreciate, you know, influences. Talk to me about influences, current and past.
Man, thank you for that. I feel like a lot of the people that I gravitate towards when it comes down to my influences, it's always like the eclectic vibes. If you like, all right, if I can notice and tell that this person is thinking outside the box every time when they create and elevating with themselves, I'm always gonna gravitate towards it, you know? And then I also look for like a very nostalgic vibe as well, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a person that goes back and like studies the greats before me in any type of genre. So I feel like I like try and look at what made them so great so I can like elevate with myself, you know? I don't know, like with Pharrell, and you know, that's just like a prime example of like somebody that just really wanted to do something different for the time being. And who knows if it's gonna stick or not, but I'm just gonna make it. And that's something that like keeps me going, you know?
I'm gonna jump in there real quick. When I think of Pharrell, my personal favorite Pharrell era music that sticks out is Noriega,
Yeah.
Clips.
Yeah.
Talk about what era of Pharrell that you appreciate sticks out to you.
Okay, so that era, for one, the Noriega, Clips, the whole 2000s run where he was going crazy with Snoop and Jay-Z, and just like he was like doing pop hits and hardcore hip hop hits. He was all over the place during that era. And then I love the NERD era, just like super black rock star vibe. Like, I feel like he almost didn't care that he was making something super different. Like, he was one of them kids that was at school that might have got like bullied for like maybe wearing the trendy rock shirts or something like that. but like he didn't care. He was gonna keep on doing him. And so like when I was younger, hearing that like that first, I think it might have been like Seeing Sounds for me, because I was born in '99, but like 2008, just hearing like Hot and Fun and just like, oh my God, this is some funky hardcore. What is this? Like, sounds like, I don't know, but I definitely just like admire how different. Oh, also Andre 3000, like Andre 3000 being able to put on a wig in super dirty South Georgia, and he gonna tell you he's an alien, and you just gotta take it at face value. Like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess I'm an alien too. Like, that's how I felt, you know. So, yeah. But going back to Pharrell, man, shout out to Pharrell. Those eras are definitely my favorites. Yeah.
In some ways, like the artists you're describing, they destigmatized some things that people wouldn't have been comfortable doing.
Yeah.
And I know that you mentioned Kanye.
Yeah.
And one of the things you have in common with Kanye is that you're both college dropouts.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious that you say that, because I was actually just on Wayne State campus on some random shit. But man, honestly, like for me, college just wasn't working, you know what I'm saying? And this doesn't go for anybody else, you know, but I do tell anybody that's like having these thoughts, like, because there's been times where like, you know, I've spoken to a class of like some seniors or whatever, like just to like motivate or whatever, and I would see the angst in some of them. Like some of them knew where they were going, and then others were just like me in senior year, where I was just like, I don't know what I'm about to do in college. Like, what does this have to do with me? You know what I'm saying? Because like I wasn't gonna be a doctor. I wasn't gonna be like some professor or anything like that. I already knew that I wanted to make music. And the situation that I was in was like, I was kind of just going to make my mom happy, and you know, that's not a good way to go to school, you know what I'm saying? And then I would hear people, like my teachers, be like, well, student debt is a good debt. And I'm like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't want any debt. How about that? Like, so I was going through all those motions, and so when I was at Wayne State for the 2 months I was there, the whole time I was just networking. And I feel like it is a good place to, if you're around a bunch of people like that, you should definitely network as much as possible. Even if you're in middle school or high school, like, always tell you, like, even if people are dissing you, because people will always be like, I'm not gonna listen to your mixtape, I'm about to, you know what I'm saying? But like, that was what I was using college for. But at the same time, I knew I had to get out immediately, because I was going to be either drained or trapped in this little school system. And yeah, like I had to get out of there, man. Like, it wasn't going to serve me. If it's not serving you, and this is with anything in life, don't do it, you know? Straight up.
You got to be you.
Yes.
And that's something that that's something that you're sharing through your creative process.
Yeah.
But also through your personal decisions. And that's something that it takes a lot of guts to do.
Yeah. I mean, I just ran into one of my professors, like my math professor, like probably last week on some random like universe, like, oh, hey, how's it going? And she was like, you going crazy right now? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, I remember you were like so vocal about your music passion, and I'm just glad to see you. And I'm like, damn, it's like 4 years later, like, wow, look at me, you know, look at us, you know. And but yeah, like I feel like a lot of people in general that's living in this world would prefer you do that instead of wasting other people's time, like, and wasting your own time, you know, because yeah, man.
Well, I just want to ask one last thing, and that's you're not in the house bored anymore. Tell everyone where they should go based on your recent travels, and how to get out the house again.
Man, just go anywhere. Like, I would say traveling in general not to like name a specific place, but traveling will definitely like heighten your senses with the world, and like, you know, you might try new things food wise, or you might see like a different touristy spot, or, you know, you just learn a lot about the world and yourself and people if you like travel more. I just finally got my passport. I was supposed to go to Europe, but I like didn't get my passport in time. But I will say, like, once I get my passport, I'm about to be Africa, Europe, all over the place, just to like experience that, because, you know, even traveling in America is cool, but like, you know, there's so much to the world, you know, and some people don't even go past their neighborhood, which is unfortunate. But like, man, traveling is key. It's gonna definitely like teach you, for sure.
Well, thank you so much for. Oh yeah, okay. That lied. I got one more question.
Oh, okay.
So one of the cool things, you were on HGTV.
Yes.
Tell us what they were filming and what your plans are for the house that was on the show.
So I was on, I forgot the specific show name.
Rehab Addicts.
Rehab Addict. Oh yeah, you got it. There you go. So like, it was like all a circumstance thing. It was just like, it happened all aligning with it. But I had bought my late great grandmother's house, and they had hit up my mom on Facebook or something, cause like she's friends with one of the producers, and they did like the first floor. But like, you know, it was just a blessing, because like that house was about to go to the city, and it was about to be like another house just lost in the city, and somebody was gonna, you know, scoop it up. But I feel like Black ownership is like important, you know, especially when it comes down to property and all that stuff, because, you know, we have a lot of value in our city. Our streets are very valuable. Our bricks alone, like some people are coming just to Michigan just to get our bricks, you know what I'm saying? Which is crazy. But like, you know, it's a lot of beautiful things that's thriving in that neighborhood alone. And for the future, I definitely want it to be something like an art hub, hoping to like turn it into more of a beautiful renovation, is like, you know, maybe have artists and creatives to come through, and like, you know, if they need to shoot a music video or, you know, record there. It's kind of like at a place where we're still like rehabbing it, but at the same time, it's like, for the future, I definitely see like artists just like thriving there, you know. I've already shot like 4 music videos there. Like, if you've watched a few of my past music videos, it pops up in the background. But like, yeah, it's something for like, I see like 2024, like it could be like another art hub of some sort, or like a residency of some sort. Yeah, man. Yeah.
So watch out, the Roach residency is coming your way.
Heck yeah.
So those are all the questions I had. Thank you so much for coming. Is there anything else you want to leave with the audience?
Thank you for watching. Shout out to Yum Village. Thank you for watching, and shout out to Yum Village. Follow me on Instagram, all social medias, Curtis2Trill. That's Curtis, T-O-O, Trill. And I would say, have a good day. You know what I'm saying? Have a good day. Have a grand time.